everybody. We'll give you a second to roll in here.
People just don't get sick of FAFSA, Peggy.
I know.
Just
It's
want to talk about it, hear about it, right?
exciting.
This year more than ever. Well, the FAFSA actually is exciting this year.
The FAFSA is downright sexy this year.
That's it. That's it. Right?
Maybe I'm going a little too far with that, but
People cannot get enough. Really quickly, a couple things we always like to hear from you guys. We're going to make this actually, I think, extra interactive tonight to the extent you all are willing to participate. But we always love to know where you at in the country. We're assuming most class 2024 students, your kids are mostly class 2024. Confirm or deny that for us. Let us know what class your kids are in. And are you a newbie? Are you just kind of checking us out, just tuning in, or are you what do they call them? Our groupies? Are you guys groupies
yeah,
or
the
regulars?
groupie. Mishawaka, nice. I lived in South Bend when I was teeny tiny. Yes, this is recorded.
Rowley, Peggy. Or, I'm sorry, I think I just saw Chapel Hill. They should go hang out with your mom if she's watching.
Woo-hoo! That's where my mom is.
Uh,
We're going to be in Raleigh in March at a conference.
yep.
Yeah, there's another Raleigh. Nice.
Chicago groupie. There we go. Midwest groupies. Love it. Cool. So we'll do quick introductions, and then obviously you guys are here to learn about the FAFSA, what you should be doing now, and I think we're actually pretty excited about tonight's presentation because I think we are feeling really good that although a lot of things are out of our control, like they never have been in years past when it comes to FAFSA, there are some things we can control right now, and that's one of the big gets of like, okay, if I've already submitted the FAFSA, what can I do right now besides sit on my hands? And that's one of the that's again, to me, one of the biggest gets tonight. If we haven't submitted the FAFSA, great. We're going to help you there as well. Really quickly, I'm Matt Carpenter, founder of College Aid Pro. I've been doing this for the class 2025 will be the 20th class, 20 years that I've guided families through this process. So seen quite a bit, learned quite a lot, and we're just trying to educate you all, guide you all, just kind of be your shepherds and North Star through this process. And Peggy here, my colleague, my very good buddy, the fairy godmother of financial aid, as we all like to call her, is out there in Seattle. So Peggy, if you want to say hi, then I'll talk about our new experiment that I want to try tonight.
Yeah. We're gonna do something fun tonight for you groupies. Yeah. So I'm Peg Keough. Been doing this work for well over a decade. I've been in the financial industry for longer than I probably want to admit, and just focusing on this. And started my own business, and then joined CAP over 2 years ago now. So this is what we do: educating you, helping you understand this process and where you fit. You're so far ahead of the game if you understand. So I know most of you are well into this process as 24s. I see a couple 25s on here. So we're going to try and meet you where you are in this step of the process that is very unique this year for sure. So with that in mind, we're going to do something unique on our webinar tonight, aren't we?
That's right. So this is something I just want to try, and it's because it kind of stemmed from conversations we have internally all the time. We talk collectively as a team to at least hundreds of parents every day. At least maybe it's probably a higher number than that. I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out. But and obviously every situation and household is unique. But I think this year in particular, a common theme is just with this FAFSA stuff and all these unknowns, just kind of extra stressful, extra overwhelming. And at baseline, and every year it's stressful and overwhelming. Right. Something I say every day, it's your kids and your money. No kidding, you're a little rattled here. I want to talk to somebody. If anybody is willing or able to raise your hand, I just love to talk a little bit about like what's going on in your household. And because I saw somebody raise your
All right,
hand.
I'll get it because I can just turn on your audio. So I got Jay.
Okay.
I see Jay.
Can you put them on camera?
Let me see. I'm scrolling down to you,
If they're
Jay.
willing to go on?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Because because where I'm going with this, and my hope is that I think I know, right? Because I'm on the other side of these conversations every day, and so are all my colleagues. you know, is that a lot of people feel like they're the only ones that are freaking out a little bit, or, getting in arguments with their kids, with their spouse, with their ex. Um, and again, so I know that not to be the truth. I know that's like a common thread for most families. And I thought it might be helpful just to have a really quick conversation, talk a little bit about what's going on with you. I'll ask you a couple questions. I'm sure Peg might have a couple questions. We won't take more than 5 minutes, because I know everybody's tuned in tonight.
Okay,
To
are you done? Can I let somebody talk?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jay, I'm gonna turn you on here so you can talk. So you should be, there we go. You got the floor, buddy.
Jay, you can you say hi real quick if you can.
Hello.
Hi,
Okay,
where are
great. We
you?
can hear you. We can hear you.
Perfect.
Where are you in the country?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, whereabouts?
That's where I'm from.
Um, Near the Short Hills Mall.
Okay.
I grew up in New Providence, Jay.
Berkeley Heights.
There we go. Berkeley Heights. So Governor Livingston High School, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. So let me just take your temperature first off. How's the household doing as a whole?
We're doing pretty well. So, my son is the first of four, and there's three girls behind him, and he's quite self-motivated, almost entrepreneurial. So I haven't had to do a lot except follow his lead.
Nice.
So are you the one household that's having a smooth experience here? Is that who I called
I
on?
wouldn't say that. So he wants to be in a very competitive program. Got into all of his choices so far. Didn't apply for Syracuse early decision because it was binding. They made us do the CSS, which no one else did. FAFSA, as you know, got delayed, so everybody gave us money except his number one early decision, and except for like $2, and they're the most expensive by far, and it's binding. So luckily, they sent us an email that said, "We will let you out of the binding if you can't afford it. We can't really give you an exact amount yet." So they said, you know what? Whatever our price is on the website is sort of what it is, and we're not really going to give you anything else. So we wrote an appeal with all the other schools and what their prices were and what they gave us. So I have no idea what's going to happen. They had to be in yesterday. Early decision was, I guess, today. So I don't know if we did the right thing, the wrong thing, or whatever.
It sounds like you did the right thing. Yeah, it sounds like you did the right thing. So obviously cost is at the forefront for you guys. That's an important factor in the decision here.
Yeah, number one thing. So, if they give us really, really little to no money for his first choice, we'll have to bow out an early decision and go to probably his second choice.
And how's your son feel about that?
He keeps praying and hoping God will open the right door. Other than that, what else can you do, right?
Okay, so he's bought into the somewhat has his arms around the financial implications of this decision.
Yeah, I mean, I tell him, listen, it's, $89,000 per year times 4 years, post-tax dollars, plus compounded interest is $500,000. That's insane, right? And then what we did in our appeal is actually put from their website what the average graduating rate from that college within the university is and what the average salary they would make. And essentially sort of putting in there going, how is anybody ever going to pay this back if you don't give some kind of aid?
And and then you've kind of experienced it, right? They don't really care that you live in one of the most expensive places in the country, type of deal, and what you pay for taxes. Was your son involved in this appeal process at all, or was this just coming
So
from
I
you?
made him, I like, if he doesn't want to do something anyways, I make him do the whole thing. So I made him do it. And then I sort of wordsmith and tweaked it a little bit and put in my 2 cents. And from my understanding is the appeals have to be submitted by the student, if it's for merit. And then if it's for financial, whatever, it's by the parent, if
Yeah,
that's.
that's what we recommend, and I think that's usually what bears the most fruit. Is that if it's, and we'll talk about this when we wrap tonight, but if we're appealing for more scholarships, we want the student to be the loudest voice in the room. Um, Whereas if it's financial aid, need based, it usually makes sense for that to come from parent or parents. I'll tell you, I hope they come back with a whole bunch of money. Generally speaking, Syracuse is pretty good with merit-based admissions appeals, but usually it's to the tune of, call it $5,000.
Yeah, they already offered him 5,000 in the beginning. And I'm like, that's just insanity.
Almost insulting, right?
No, insulting.
There you go. Yeah. Well, look, I want to make sure that we talk about, we kind of get to the content here tonight, but I really appreciate you, Jay, being so vulnerable and jumping on here and having a little conversation. But my hope is that everybody that's having some sense of anxiety and struggle and unknown in this process, just kind of know you're not on an island. There's a lot of people on this call right now, and I promise you, each household is having their different challenge, right? And like a lot of ways for you, Jay, it's like you got this son that, this is unique, by the way, that's unbelievably motivated and all over this, completely dialed in. But even then, you guys still get all these stressors and stuff like that. So congratulations on the
just to say one thing to
Yeah,
the
please.
group or the audience is the fact that, I did the CSS with you guys, having had some webinars to sort of dial in, the FAFSA also, and then I did an hour consult with one of your people to just tweak it and make sure that we had everything correct. And, that was extremely valuable and reduces the stress and make sure, it's like filing your own taxes. You're like, just need an accountant to help you.
I really appreciate you saying that. And Peg, that as Jay's saying that, I'm like, we should have had a plant, and we had a plant by accident. We should do this and have a plant.
We
But
swear we didn't pay, Jay. We
I
swear.
appreciate the authentic recommendation.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, because like you said, even being on it and trying to be, there's just so much unknown. And so even though we're a fairly straightforward family, it's still, like you said, stressful, and you don't know, and just dotting one I wrong, all of a sudden the school gets the wrong impression.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. We'll be rooting for you, and please keep us posted with the results. Let us know what Syracuse comes back with, because I will personally take a look and take a peek and see if we get involved, we can do a little bit better than whatever they come back with. So take me up on that.
Thank you.
All right, Jay. Good luck, man. All right, cool. Well, Jay's a brave guy, Peggy. We appreciate him. Let's dive in here.
All right. Let me share my screen. As Matt said, we're just gonna dive right in so we get through everything. So I think most of you, my slides will actually move. Hold on, I'm gonna have a little bit of experiencing this little PowerPoint difficulties here. So let me try again here, sharing.
And I'm here if I need to share, Peggy, just let me know.
And it was just not advancing. So let me just try again. All right. Here we go. All right. Yep. There we are. Most of you guys know us. So before we get into private scholarships and appealing, which, those are two of the things that you can be thinking about now. So you're not just twiddling your thumbs. Let's just go through what's happening just so that everybody understands. So we already had delays, brand new FAFSA. As Jay said, he was on some of our webinars. We talked about all of that stuff and how to get through the FAFSA, how to submit it. There's glitches, all that crazy stuff. But then on top of it, the Department of Ed was supposed to put in some changes that benefit all of you, making basically, I'm not going to get in the weeds on it, but basically a higher income allowance, meaning once you're in the income they're looking at, then they put an allowance, they decrease it, and then they assess that lower number. They increase the allowance, but they didn't put it in originally. Then they decided because they got a lot of heat from different organizations to actually implement it for the 24-25 school year. This created a further delay. And so they are not sending your information from your kids' FAFSAs. It's called ICERs, but it's the FAFSA information to colleges until the first half of March. Might be March 1, might be March 15th. Hopefully it's by March 15th. So this obviously creates delays. The good news of this is that SAIs, your student aid index, will go down. So that's a good thing because, and I'll show you in a minute what the student aid index is used for, but that's a good thing. The bad news is there's delays, okay? We're going to say this over and over again. If you get our emails, you've heard me say it on video, like control what you can control. And when you start getting stressed about it, just take a deep breath and realize everybody's in the same boat. You heard Jay, They have their own unique challenges. All of you were listening, thinking, oh, that's happening in my family or something different. Everybody's got their stuff going on, right?
Peggy, sorry to interrupt. I don't think we got a chance to say this at the beginning. Maybe you did. But if you can, everybody, please put
Oh,
all
we
your
didn't,
questions in
yeah.
the Q&A as opposed to the chat. We didn't flag that at the beginning. So if you have a question in the chat, please copy and paste it and put it in the Q&A because we just live in there to answer all your questions. And guys, we're gonna do our very best to get to as many as possible tonight. We won't be able to get to them all just by the size of the audience tonight. We will talk about at the end if you didn't get your question answered or you need more support, how to do that. But anyways, sorry to break in, Peggy.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so how are colleges handling this? You probably have seen some of this potentially from some of the schools your kids have applied to. First thing to keep in mind, my first bullet, the FAFSA only schools, meaning the schools that only require the FAFSA, they don't require the CSS profile that Jay was talking about with Syracuse. They're completely blind. They have no idea about your ability to pay and your finances because they don't have that FAFSA information. So this is really affecting them. The CSS profile schools, you probably noticed if your kids have applied to stuff, like some of them are producing packages and they're unofficial, but they're producing them. So you have some visibility into what you might get. So this is really the FAFSA only schools, which unfortunately are most of the schools in the country. There's less than 300 schools, at least before all this craziness, that required the CSS profile out of thousands of schools in this country. So some schools are creating their own financial aid form. They're like, okay, we're not waiting for the FAFSA this year. We've got our own form. They should be providing that to you, but you should also be proactive looking at these schools. Some schools are saying, you know what, we're going to use the CSS profile for this year. We need to get that financial data and we need to start getting to work on creating what's called a financial aid award letter. That's what tells you the whole financial aid package from merit to need-based aid to loans to work study. Some colleges are updating their net price calculator. That's what MPC means. They all have a calculator on their website. They're typically outdated. There's no requirement for them to keep them up to date. We've seen a few schools come out and say, that's where we're going to send people so that people will have an idea of what they're going to get. And the other thing is, and most of you probably know with seniors, one of the uniform deadlines in our industry has always been May 1st. That's when you got to send in that deposit check to guarantee your seat for the fall. Well, because everything's being delayed and you're not going to hear from colleges with packages potentially into April, schools are starting to move that. And two of the big groups, the UC schools, University of California schools, and the California State system, they have both moved their deadline to May 15th. Other schools have done it as one-offs as well. So stay on top of that. That's an important thing to keep in mind. Those are all ways that colleges are dealing with all the craziness this year. So what can you as a family be doing with this downtime? You can be dialing in your net cost projections. And if that doesn't make sense to you, Matt's gonna take over in a few minutes and we're gonna take you into our tool. We're gonna show you what we mean by that because you shouldn't be paying full price. You should be getting discounts. So you wanna dial in what your package should look like, not waiting for the college and trying to get in the ballpark with that. You could also be looking at private scholarships if that's a strategy to pursue. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Then also appealing. Jay shared, they already put in an appeal because they needed to. There was an ED appeal deadline. So you can start to appeal right now, especially if I've talked to a few families already that have merit from competing schools. We're going to touch on that. I'm like, go ahead, and I told them what to do, exactly how to appeal. You don't have to wait for the FAFSA to come through. But even if you can't appeal now, start getting your strategy together and knowing what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So you're just ready to roll when you've got the applicable information. The must-dos, and Matt mentioned this at the beginning, and I'm thinking most of you have done this. If you haven't submitted the FAFSA, get it submitted. There are deadlines. Colleges are being very soft with those this year, meaning They're giving grace to parents, but you always want to get it in by the deadline if you can. After you submit that FAFSA, your child will get a confirmation email. That email is super important because it has a submission date on it. Even if there's glitches that aren't your fault, tech glitches, and there's no SAI on there, it says can't calculate. Don't worry about any of that. Get that email from your child, have them forward it to you, keep it, because that's your proof that you submitted it by that date in case there's any issues about deadlines and missing a deadline. Okay. So that's your must do if you haven't done that. Very high level. Why does all this stuff even matter? You're submitting these forms so that the colleges have what's called a student aid index. It's basically the minimum annual amount they think you can afford as a family. So they take their cost of attendance, which is the full sticker price, tuition, fees, room and board, books, travel, personal expenses. They subtract this SAI. We're not going to get in the weeds tonight about how it's calculated. But they take that and they do the difference, and that's your need. So if you have cost of attendance of 90,000 minus a 40,000 SAI, you have 50,000 of need. School that costs 90, you have 100,000 SAI, which I've seen many times through the years. You don't have financial need. But that's when, again, I'm not going to go into a big spiel about why you should be submitting these forms, even if you have a high SAI, but submit the FAFSA, even though you don't think you're eligible for need-based aid. One reason I'll share, you could be not eligible for merit money if you don't do it. Also, some private scholarships that we're going to talk about in a minute require the FAFSA and sometimes the CSS profile to be done. So get the FAFSA in. And if you need to do the CSS, also get that in as well. All right, Matt, are you there? I'm not used to you being off camera.
Sorry, buddy. And I know you like to I know you like to see me there to just give you that sense of confidence.
Oh yeah, I need that.
And just the eye candy as you're presenting that.
I'm sorry, audience. I'm sorry for Matt. He's on a roll tonight.
Yeah. So yes, and you know what? So and I can just share my screen, Peggy, and just kind of dig in here. So we didn't mention this at the beginning. If you haven't already, set up an account, free account with us, mycap.collegeaidpro.com. If you just want to pop that link.
Yeah, I will. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Thank you. Because, and just to reiterate a point, because a lot of the questions I was answering that Peg hit on were around corrections, or some families that are like, we submitted this back in October, we need to add another school. We applied to more than 20 colleges and you can only put 20 colleges on it. I know I made a mistake. How can I get back in there? There's nothing, if you submitted the FAFSA, there's nothing we can do right now in terms of accessing the FAFSA, and it's okay. It's no, you are literally with millions of other families that are in this uncomfortable holding pattern. It's going to process in mid-March. That's the most precise date that we have. And when it does, you'll be able to get back in there and make any corrections you need, add schools, and you won't be punished. You won't be late. You're totally fine. It's just a really uncomfortable feeling at the moment. I also had a lot of questions of, well, I submitted my FAFSA and I didn't get my SAI. So I don't know what that foundation is for determining my need-based financial aid eligibility. That's common. That was one of the glitches. B, the most common way that people are seeing their SAIs this year, for those that do even have access to them at all, it's an email sent to the student. So an annoying part, and that's kind of a common theme in this process, this financial aid process with colleges, a lot of the most important information from bodies like the FAFSA and the colleges themselves are sent to the student. So for our families, for our clients, we are hammering them over the head ad nauseum that the kids have to be checking their emails every single day. So this is the platform. This is where you need to be living right now, because this is kind of our first step in what we are really focused on with our clients at the moment, is especially with these awards being delayed, we have to know now, today, what are they likely going to look like when they come back that first week of April. And we have to make a decision by May 1st in some cases. Now, obviously, some of these Deadlines have been pushed back to the middle of May till June 1st. So maybe at your college, you're going to have more time. But we have to go into this thinking that we're not going to get our offer until early April. And we want to be the first in line for appeals. I'm going to talk about the mechanics of appeals towards the end of the presentation here. But we have a competitive advantage this year. Here's the good news. If you're a smart consumer this year, that you're going to know now about how much these colleges are going to cost you. So if you're waiting for that offer from Syracuse, from Boston College, from the UCs, whatever, put your information into our platform. We're going to tell you what it's going to cost. This is our net price calculator. Our projections are, with very few exceptions, way more accurate than even the college's net price calculators. So this is going to tell you what these colleges are actually going to cost you before you get that offer. So you can anticipate what that's going to look like the first week of April. And again, I'm going to talk about this at the end, but we want to start now in preparing our appeal so that when we do get our official offer, boom, we're sending ours in the first day. And guess what? That appeal committee, we're going to be on the front of the line when they have some discretionary funds to give. Competitive advantage for people that get their offers that first week of April and take some time to think about how they want to appeal. So that's what we're very busy with right now and will be up to that first week of April. So make sure you get in here, create your account. You're going to see what your SAIs are. You're going to see what these colleges are actually going to cost you, right? If you click into any college, it's going to tell you here's every single scholarship that they offer, the qualifications for each. So one thing that we like to do in our appeals is say, okay, we're projecting we're going to get $3,000 from UMass, and we probably will, but we see that they have all these other scholarships, and we're going to try to make a case that we want to jump up to the next level or next couple levels if we are if we are appealing for merit-based scholarships. Okay. Another thing, just kind of skipping down here, is that once you do get these award letters, you're going to upload them here. We're going to translate it for you, but most importantly, we're going to tell you, did you get a good deal? Okay, what is the likelihood that you can appeal successfully? Are you like Boston College that usually under awards families $10,000 on average? We're the watchdog. We're going to call them on it, and they're going to give us that money. We got a nice appeal back from BC today for early decision family, $16,000 more, right? So you want to be armed with that information. Another thing that we want to be doing right now, okay, not sitting on our hands. Now is the time that we want to go get private scholarships. I'm going to talk about a couple best practices. And the first one is going to be looking for scholarships locally, which I'll talk about in a second. But we almost do this geographically. First, we look for private scholarships at the local level. Again, I'll talk about that in a second. Then we want to look at the state level. Once we're done exhausting our energy on looking for scholarships at the local level in our community, we're going to go into our CAP platform here, and we're going to search for scholarships at the state level, right? So I can say, okay, I'm a resident of California. Here's 6 pages of scholarships that are just for California residents, okay? So we're going to go through all these and say, hey, do a couple of these look like they might be relevant for me or my family? Let's throw my hat in the ring to this particular scholarship, see if an essay is required or not, or is it renewing or is it just 1 year? And then right through here, you can apply. And then when we go to look, so it's community, then it's the state level. And then when we go to look at the national level, the first place I like to start is if your kid has an idea what they want to major in, look for that. So here's 6 pages of scholarships for folks that want to potentially major in accounting, right? And here's one that's for women in accounting scholarship. If I have my daughter, if she chooses to be an accountant, which would be a crazy twist of fate, Peggy. If I don't see Emma.
She doesn't strike me as a future.
She does not have CPA written all over her, but who knows? Things change, right? We got some time. But anyways, you see where I'm going here, and there's a bunch of different filters that you can look for based on what's unique to your student, your family, etc. But again, set up your account, because right now you need to know what these schools are going to cost you, not just wait and wonder what that's going to be, because not only do we need to know what it's going to cost, we got to figure out what's our plan of attack going to be when we appeal the first day we get that offer. And if you want to share.
All right, let me share again here. Okay. All right, here's kind of the who, what, why, where, when of.
Yeah. So some kind of best practices here, right? It's similar to the admissions process as the best comp in terms of applying for private scholarships. But it's a way watered down, right? I think a lot of times students are so burnt out right now, and I don't blame them because the admissions process is such a beast. But they've already done most of the legwork for private scholarships by completing their essay, by doing all those resume type things for the Common App and the supplemental app. So it's all there. The foundation is there. It's just reprocessing paperwork for the most part. And our recommendation is that the students are in charge of that, just like they are for the admissions part of the college process. Any of these scholarships that want the FAFSAs, that want some financial information or CSS profiles, usually, if you're fortunate enough to be, to be involved, it's the parent or parents that handle that piece of the puzzle. Again, obviously, there's plenty of exceptions there. I think we say that if you do this process right, we should be able to capture $1,000 to $3,000, right? We should almost be able to set our watch to that. If we're a little bit more, and I think even that could go up to about $5,000, that if we do this process the right way, we can get from $1,000 to $5,000, right? And the way that we kind of coach it is that, look, if you put in 10 hours of work, even if you just get, over a couple of weeks, even if you just get a $1,000 scholarship, that's $100 an hour. That's how we try to motivate at least the kids, right? $100 an hour, guys. Go put in a couple hours a day, spread out over a couple of weeks, and go get paid $100 an hour. Okay. Right now is the time to apply. The time is now. So this is when you guys should be taking action here. And I'm talking to senior parents, class 2024 families. That now is the time. I think that covers that piece, Peggy. And I just to reemphasize this point, you see this statistic here that to me jumps off the page. About 33% of high school students will apply for their local scholarships. And these scholarships have to get given away each year. The Rotary Club has to give away this money, right? The fire department has to give away this money. The sports boosters have to give away the money. So that is, you are fishing in the smallest pond that is the most well-stocked by making sure that you apply for all your local scholarships. So we'll never use the word guarantee, but if you apply for all your local scholarships, it is incredibly likely you are going to get something. So if you haven't heard anything about local scholarships yet, you want to proactively seek out your high school counselor, right? Seek out your guidance counselor. If your kid's at a private school that is not in your town, you might be able to double dip. You want to talk to your school counselor at the private school to see what's through their high school, and then also in the community that you live in, because usually you can double dip and just, again, maximize your odds there. Okay, Peggy, and we already looked at, again, if you haven't set up your College Aid Pro account, do that right now.
You can actually click on that too, but I'll put it in the chat again, the mycap.collegeaidpro.com, because it gives you your SAI, because people are asking, well, I didn't get the email. How do I know what my SAI is? We'll give you a really, really good estimate. So set up your free account to do that.
And we have every private scholarship in the country baked into that, except for the local community ones. So that's where you want to. We recommend this for the admissions process generally. I kind of hinted around it earlier, but you might think about it even now. Create a new email that you and your student has access to, number one, so you're not getting absolutely destroyed with spam, like of course you are currently, and you have multiple eyes on it, so nothing slips through the cracks. Same thing as admissions, guys. It's just all about staying organized. Don't miss deadlines, because certainly if you miss any deadlines here, they're very firm. And just carve out a couple hours a week. That's again, when we're talking to the kids, we're like, listen, we can do 2 hours a week here, and we're going to see a return on that investment. Yeah, and this is kind of a weird one, especially for families that aren't eligible for need-based financial aid and know that. They're like, hey, look, we're not going to get any financial aid. I'm not going to do the FAFSA. I'm not going to do the CSS profile. Okay, well, guess what? You're also disqualifying yourself from a ton of private scholarships. A lot of these require the FAFSA. If you're a community, I'm in Beverly, Mass, right? North of Boston, there's a community right down a little fishing village right down the street, called Marblehead, Mass, but it's a very affluent community. And they have this huge pool of private scholarships, but you have to complete the CSS profile if you want to throw your hat in the ring there. So you just got to make sure that, are some of these private scholarships requiring the traditional financial aid applications? And another reason that we always want everybody to check that box. Go ahead, Peg.
You want me
wanna
to take
jump in there?
over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to talk about this phenomenon of scholarship displacement, because I remember when I first got into this industry and I had a mom reach out and she was really mad and she just was like, what is going on? And what colleges can do is, if your child gets a private scholarship, sometimes they'll just give your kid a check, but more often than not, they're going to say, where are you going to school? And they send that money directly to the college. It ends up coming off as a credit on the bursar bill, right? So the college knows that that money's coming in. And what the colleges can do is they can say, oh, especially schools that meet 100% of need, they've met all your need. And I'll give you an example. I had a family, the daughter, she got a $15,000 Girl Scout scholarship. She was going to Stanford. Stanford meets 100% of need. That I knew what was going to happen. So I had them reach out to the Girl Scouts and at least get it sent over 2 years. So then we're down to 7,500. That hits up at Stanford. Stanford says, oh, that's lovely. We're going to take away some of our package. So they started with loans, then they took work study, but there was still money left over. So they took away some of their need-based grant. So the parents are sitting there not ahead of the game, right? Basically, it was a good deal for Stanford and the federal government because they weren't giving the subsidized loan, but it didn't help the family. And that's called scholarship displacement. It doesn't always happen. It depends on the package, how much need they met, but it does happen. So you just want to know that from the get-go. I used to say, knock on wood, I've never seen it happen with merit money, not the need-based. A mom chimed in during one of our webinars just in the last 2 weeks and said it did happen with merit money. Matt and I have never seen that for all these years, so it's pretty rare. But that last bullet is important to take away. Doesn't mean you can't appeal this. You can't reach out to the college and have a conversation about it, and an assertive, polite conversation. But just realize that unfortunately, it doesn't take away your SAI. It really should, because you're doing all the work that Matt's talking about, the hours, and you get this money. It should really help the family pay less, but sometimes it doesn't. So just keep that in mind. I was banging away at the question, so I'm sure Matt mentioned that a lot of private scholarships, unlike merit, they're not offered for 4 years typically. This one is. So we love to share this. I came across this years ago. So if you Google Cameron Impact Scholarship, you'll find it. Class of 2024. Don't get excited because those deadlines are gone. But if you have younger kids, and I know we have a few 25 parents on here, this is a wonderful one. They take about 3,000 applications. They have 20 impact scholars is what they call them. It's full tuition at any 4-year school for 4 years. So this is kind of the mother load. This isn't the norm. Usually it's $1,000 here, $2,000 there, and you have to do it all 4 years. But we just want to share that. So that's a great one. Just jot that down. And if it's applicable to your kids, it's well worth the time if your kids are eligible.
Yeah, so lots to talk about here, and Peg and I do entire presentations that go an hour plus just around the appeal process itself. I've seen a ton of questions around this. I lost a job. We've been separated since 2022, right? Because class 2024 folks, they're asking for 2022 tax returns and a meaningful percentage of you. That's completely irrelevant to what your reality is today, right? So we're almost recommending universally this year that every single family appeal. And there'll be exceptions there, but this year in particular, with these FAFSA delays, with some of these huge rule changes that are impacting small business owners, that are impacting split household, divorced and separated families, and that are impacting families that are going to have more than one kid in college at once, right? These are the three biggest FAFSA changes that are really going to negatively impact families if you fit in one of those buckets, in most cases. So that's the bad news. The good news is there is an opportunity like never before to appeal this year. And again, with this delayed timing, we have this opportunity to get in front of the line if we're an educated consumer this year. So that's what I'm feeling really bullish on, where I'm really optimistic, because I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like, we're going to have our appeal. We're going to know what our offer is before the offer is received. And as soon as we receive it, boom, we're submitting that appeal to the admissions office or the financial aid office, or both. Now, these are some of the best practices for appealing. You heard me mention earlier, if it's a merit-based appeal, it should come from the student when we were talking to Jay, right? And Jay, it sounds like he nailed this. It should come from the student. They should be the loudest voice in the room, and that should happen through admissions. Parent, if it's financial aid, it should, it's probably the parent that is talking about this, and it's happening with financial aid. We always want to ask for a specific number. The kind of sad reality, I don't know, maybe that's too dramatic of a word, but maybe not, is that you can't just ask for more money. There has to be a certain level of sophistication to your appeal. And these are some of the ways that we do that, right? Now, we're very fortunate on our team because we have the director of financial aid at Harvard, at MIT, at University of Oklahoma, the former director at USC, at Denison. So we know what it takes to move the needle, and what, how do those folks, the successful appeal that we had at Boston College, that was based on the guidance that Ryan Callahan, provided to one of the families that we work with. He used to work there. He knows that system pretty well, right? And all of those, we can bucket schools into certain types of ways that they do business and what makes them move the needle in terms of giving more money, right? So these are some of the best practices, asking for that specific amount. This is where we want to have, or always want our families. Now, I know for you class 2024, this may or may not be an option, but we always want to use competing offers. Okay. We can't do that if it's an ED, but I also want to tell you, for ED schools, you can still appeal and appeal successfully. Hopefully Jay is an example of that, but I promise you, this year more than ever, and we've seen this be an upward trend, we're appealing successfully even for ED offers. Okay. This gets into the PhD level types of reasons and strategies for appealing. But as you've seen, a lot of these colleges have asked for your tax returns, right? They want all the schedules. If you're a small business owner, they want the S Corp return, they want the C Corp return, they want your Schedule C. Why? Common knowledge would just say, well, yeah, they want to verify what we put on the FAFSA and the CSS profile. They're not just going to take our word on it. Not really. They want those tax returns because they want to look at your expenses. And unbeknownst to you, especially if you're a business owner, as a matter of fact, this is why we get the extra 16K at BC, which is not uncommon. It's because they say, okay, you wrote off all these expenses. We're not going to consider all of them. So there's a lot of times they add back those things. Even though it was okay for the IRS, it's not good enough for the colleges, and they add that back to your income. So obviously that's very sophisticated level, but again, we're just trying to educate you all. Obviously, we want to be persistent, just like any negotiation, but Peg, I think I heard you say this in the background as I was banging around with questions here. Be kind. Okay, your process matters here, right? Again, we have a front row seat to what makes these financial aid offices give you more money or not. And I can promise you, if you're a jerk, they're not going to give you more money, because they're going to say, I don't want to deal with this person for 4 years, right? So that you have to come from that perspective. You have to come from this kind of spirit of, how can I present myself in such a way that this office, this financial aid counselor, admissions counselor I'm talking to, is motivated to go to bat for me, be an advocate for me. So when they go to the committee, they're going to say, here's this family's case. I want to vouch for them, right? That's our goal. We got to win these folks over and give them some tangible ammunition, of course, but from a process standpoint, it does matter. And how expensive college is and things like this, it's like that's a system-wide thing, right? So we have to be more specific than that. So anyways, there's so much to talk about there, but hopefully, oh, here's another really important one, Peggy, that I do want to make sure, because I got a couple of these for some families that felt uncomfortable waiting for their award to appeal because they have this significant change and the FAFSAs haven't processed. Guys, sit tight. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little insider secret here. Oftentimes, if we appeal, if we give a tangible reason of why we're appealing before we get the award, okay, so I lost my job since I submitted the FAFSA, okay, we're going to get the award, and then you're going to say, did you not get my email that I lost my job? And they're going to say, oh yeah, we did, and we baked that into the offer, which may or may not be the truth. And guess what? Oftentimes it's not the truth. Whereas if we hold on to that information, we get the offer, then we present new information that maximizes our odds of having a successful appeal, because they can't say we already had that intel and we baked it into the offer. So lots to talk about there, but I think, Peggy, if we can, I can probably share my screen and talk a little bit about next steps and our recommendations.
Let me just talk about this real quick, because there's been so many questions. I know a lot of you guys, I know you've had glitches. I know you're not getting stuff. You got to just take a deep breath on some of this, but on the FAFSA, and I think Carrie was your first name, so tune in here because this is related to your question. If you have more than one child in school, this was one of the changes. They're not going to automatically reduce your SAI by almost 50%, but the colleges can. You can't do anything about it yet, but realize they will know because you answered a question of how many kids were in college on the FAFSA. This is a huge appeal opportunity this year that is very unique and could really, really move the needle. But as Matt just said, you want to keep your leverage. They know there's two. They'll probably produce a package not taking that into account. And then if you reach out, especially if there's other schools that you're reaching out to, they're competitors. One plays ball, the other one doesn't. You can even go back. There's a lot of pieces here. A lot of people were asking me questions about appealing, and I'll stop sharing now. I can't answer in Q&A your family's appeal strategy. We have our team, Matt and I, and our team of pros that the two of us here have personally built, have done thousands and thousands of these with families. So Matt's going to talk about how we can support you. This is the place in our process where the ROI of hiring us is out the wazoo, right? Because you spend, Ryan just did one, and I forget how much it was, 16,000. They booked 3 meetings, a lot of money, but it doesn't seem like anything, right? Because I'm not saying that happens all the time. Yeah. But a lot of you are writing in with very reasonable, valid appeal opportunities, right? Not just, oh, I can't afford it kind of stuff. So, all right.
So let me talk about, and I just put this, I just put the link to this in the chat, and you can put it again, Peggy, but like really quickly, if you haven't done your FAFSA and CSS profile yet, if you haven't hit submit on one or both of those, what I would recommend is buy this package. We'll do them for you. You will have one of our experts complete them for you, meet with you to make sure that you're presented the right way out of the gates. We always say it's like having a great CPA. We are great CPAs, okay? And you don't even have to bother with the forms. And again, you get the strategy right, whatever. And if you buy it tonight, it's 25% off. I know most of you have already submitted the FAFSA and the CSS profile, so it's not relevant for most of you. Here's what I firmly recommend, and please don't overthink this, right? And Peggy, I think that was a new one. I don't think I've ever heard you say ROI up the wazoo. So you guys, you guys heard it here first, same as I did. But what you should do, right, is within your MyCap accounts here, if you're in the free version, it's going to say upgrade here. You're going to hit this button. You're going to hit the software plus expert option. Okay. And I'll give you, and you're going to put in the coupon code, which I'll show you in a second. That's going to buy you an hour with one of us or any of the experts on our team. If you've already have the premium account, or if you've already had an hour, it's going to say what mine says, talk to an expert, get an hour at this discounted rate, right? Which will be 25% off. You have to do this by midnight tonight to get the 25% off. That's as low as we discount it ever. For those of you that are groupies, you know, we don't go lower than 25%, and that's pretty rare. Because here's what we're going to do for you. Number one, we're going to make sure that you understand exactly what these colleges are actually going to cost you if you haven't got the offers yet. You'll have the opportunity, if you've already submitted the FAFSA and the CSS profile, we're going to be able to review them. Okay. So JP Schmidt, who's Peg and I's buddy and colleague, he used to be the director of financial aid at USC, Southern California. These are his words. 75% of applicants make a mistake on the FAFSA or the CSS that ends up costing them money. Okay. That's his data. I can't say that it's perfect. I don't know that he'd say that it's perfect, but that holds a lot of water with me. And I can tell you, some of you might have put your retirement accounts on the FAFSA. Massive mistake. Some of you might misrepresented your 529s. You put them in the student's name. You included all of the students' 529s, all of your kids' 529s on these forms. You overvalued your home or your business, right? These are all corrections we can make, but we got to get in there. And often, at least 90% of the time on these meetings, I'm like, we got to change this, this, and this, and then you're going to be eligible for this much more, right? Maybe we say they're perfect. You nailed the forms. That's still valuable information, because we're going to know what these colleges are going to cost us. And then we are going to help you construct your appeal right now. So again, when you get that award the first week of April, we're going to be on the front line. We're going to be first in line to get more money from these colleges. And I'm telling you right now, that's a competitive advantage this year that we've never had before in this unique year like this. So when we can be in front of the line, have that appeal ready to go ahead of time, it's going to be, again, a huge advantage for the very small percentage of families that are this far ahead of the curve. So nobody likes to think about spending any money when you're staring $93,000 a year in the face. This is going to be, Peggy's words, ROI up the wazoo, right? So at the very least, guys, book an hour, because you can use it at any time. You can decide who you want to meet with, right? You might want to be like, hey, well, we're thinking about, my kid wants to go to BC. I should meet with Josh or Ryan or whatever, one of these types of schools. My kid is really into big state flagship universities. Mike Hinderman's a director of scholarships at University of Oklahoma. Appeals is in his sweet spot, right? So
yeah, he reviews appeals from the other side, so he's very, very adept at he knows how it works behind the curtains. So it'll give you peace of mind. I mean, it's just like everything in life. There's a right way to do things, and there's a wrong way to do things, and we've just been through it so many times that we can guide you on this, spoon feed you, get it, so that, no guarantees. We can't, it would be wrong for us to say we can definitely guarantee you something, but a lot of people were writing in the Q&A, very valid change of circumstances, just a lot of valid stuff. And then and people wrote in, can you appeal merit awards? Absolutely. We do it all the time. Even if your child got a lot of money, like $15,000, it can be appealed in different circumstances based on your child, the school, where else they got awards. So,
and sorry,
there's a
I
lot
think
of opportunities.
some folks are having trouble booking their hour. The website's not working. When everybody goes to book it once, sometimes it takes a second. So give it a couple minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. Jump back in 10 minutes. We'll get you. And if for whatever reason you try to book tonight and it doesn't work, right into support tomorrow, support@collegeaidpro.com. Say, I tried to use a coupon code last night. It's expired this morning, because it expires at think 12 Eastern time, right, Peggy? Let me double
Here,
check.
I'm just looking at what.
Yeah, it expires at
It
12.
just says today, so
It might be
usually
specific.
it's,
It might be Pacific time. I forget.
yeah, it
But
might be 11:59 p.m.
right,
Pacific.
right. So whatever. If it doesn't work for you tonight, just write into support tomorrow.
Yeah, don't lay in bed not sleeping over it. Just, yeah, Anne Marie, our extraordinary
Yeah. And someone's asking,
colleague, will take care of you.
how do I know what person to choose for my hour? The list is long. You can just choose next available, right? If you choose next available, it'll give you just the most options because it pools everybody's calendar. You're in good hands with, I guarantee you this, I can guarantee. We are all have gone through, this is our first language, is appeals. So it doesn't matter who you meet with. You're going to be in great hands there. So I would choose just next available. You can also go onto our website, and one of the, actually I can, might as well just show it real quick there, Peggy.
You want me to just pull it up?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you can pull it up if you got it handy there. You can just kind of review.
Yeah, if you go to our website, easy to remember, collegeaidpro.com, you just hover over here and you go to consult with a CAP expert under products and services. And I'll put this link in the chat too. Then you're going to see our whole team here, and you can scroll through. Like, here's JP that we were talking about. He's got his bio. He'll chat at you for a minute. You can watch a short video. You see the bio. You can book the meeting right there if that's what you want to do. But what's better is to set up your free MyCap account. And like Matt said, you just click on upgrade in the corner, and then you go book it. You put in the coupon code, because I'm not sure if the coupon code will work there, Matt, on that website.
It might, but I would still recommend booking it
Yeah,
through.
I would too, because then you might have an issue through the website. You can go to the website and go check everybody out, but then go into your account and hit upgrade and just do it there.
Yeah, and we
Then
do.
put in your coupon code.
And then you get your membership for a year.
Yeah. The
Is another benefit.
$349 gets you the premium membership, and you need that so you can upload award letters and everything else. Like, that's all part of this whole process, and then looking at your bottom line. So
Peggy, I gotta bounce, my dearest. Love you,
okay,
man.
everybody. Yeah, Matt has to do a Facebook Live now.
You can stay on if you want. Peggy, you stay on all night, but I myself have to dip. I appreciate you guys. Jay, hey Jay, I really appreciate you. And I think we had like 5 or 6 other volunteers, and I appreciate all you guys.
Yeah, we might start doing that every time, and we'll do our best,
I thought it was
maybe.
cool. I just like hearing,
Did you guys like that? Just give a thumbs up if you did.
That would be helpful. Please tell us.
Is that helpful to hear from another parent? Yeah. Okay. Great.
And you can even say anonymously, no, that was a waste of time. That's helpful feedback. But
yeah, Matt and
I thought it was cool.
Good. Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Love you, bud.
Well, have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.